sixth floor council conference room for a briefing to discuss tonight's agenda. At 5:30, we moved here to the first floor chambers to conduct the council business meeting in person. And because we encourage community involvement, we invite the public to join us in person or attend via remote option through Zoom or view on BCAT. Council member Mockler may be late coming in, but she's not.
She's online.
Oh, she's online. Okay. In response to previous comments that were not germane to city business and not accepted per the council rules and procedures, the council will be temporarily modifying the public comment process to only accept written comments. An exception will be made tonight, and the council will receive in-person comments under public hearing item 4A, and it'll be for 90 seconds only. The council wants to ensure there is a safe, respectful, and productive environment that also encourages engagement. Continued discussion is planned to develop updated procedures, and we appreciate your patience. Written comments on business items or any city issue may be sent to city.council@bremertonwa.gov or to 345 6th Street, Suite 100, Bremerton, Washington. So Council Member Mockler is on Zoom tonight, and we will start tonight's meeting with the consent agenda.
Thank you, Council President. For approval on the consent agenda are the following items. A, claims and check register. Approval of the following checks and electronic fund transfers. 1, check numbers 45363 through 45371 and 413717 through 413878, and EFT numbers V45362 through V45510, and the grand total amount of $9,384,114.90. 2, regular payroll for pay period ending December 31st, 2025, in the amount of $1,243,531.43. 3, regular payroll for pay period ending January 15th, 2025, in the amount of $1,302,997.42. 4, retiree payroll for pay period ending January 31st, 2025, in the amount of $46,813.18. 5, regular payroll payout for pay period ending January 15th, 2026, in the amount of $12,227.05. And I would like to state that I want to correct both item number 3 and 4. That would be January 15th, 2026 and January 31st, 2026. Next, we have item number B, minutes of council meeting, January 21st, 2026. C, minutes of study session, January 28th, 2026. D, contract modification agreement number 2 with Parametrics, Inc. for design and construction services for the East 9th Street Stormwater Improvements Project. E, approve easement acquisition for sewage pump station EB10 for the Tracyton Beach Road Sewer Improvements Project. F, drinking water state revolving fund loan contract with Washington State Department of Health for the Manganese Treatment Facilities East Side Project. G, contract modification number 8 with Parametrics, Inc. for engineering services for the Kitsap Lake Park renovation project. H, Washington State Department of Ecology 2025 through 2027 biennial stormwater capacity grant. I, Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement with Washington State Department of Ecology to fund construction of the decommissioned beach sewer from OB4 to EB2 project. J, approve extension of appointment of Chance Berthume as Provisional Public Works and Utilities Director. And K, letter in response to Bremerton Housing Authority. This concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Written comments were accepted until Tuesday, February 3rd at noon at citycouncil@bremertonwa.gov And we will go to the council for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, let's vote on the consent agenda, please.
Councilmember Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Camerata,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
yes,
Tiff,
Yes.
Robolowski.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is public hearings. Item 4A, public hearing on interlocal agreement with the Port of Port Angeles for sale and purchase of surplus emergency fire and rescue boat. Our presenter tonight is Chief McGanny.
Good evening, council. Before you tonight, the public hearing is an interlocal agreement with the Port of Port Angeles to be able to sell what is our current fire rescue boat to the port for a total cost of $59,895, which includes tax. We will not deliver the boat to them until after our new boat is delivered and all our staff are trained on that boat and it goes into service. So we're just getting out ahead with this interlocal agreement. That is it.
Okay. Okay, the purpose of the public hearing is to accept in-person public comment and action is anticipated. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Jose Camacho, Brandon Smith Cove, Rock the Block.
Mr. Camacho, you got to speak directly into the microphone, please.
Thank you. I'm commenting on the interlocal agreement for a boat for the fire department because we all have a soft spot for firemen. I think we can all trust that this process is legitimate, so I'm going to describe that process. There are two public bodies. There's a contract between them. And because of that contract, this thing has a specific purpose, which is to deliver a boat. So this is necessary. If they deliver a toolbox or a pizza or a Cadillac, it's a violation of that contract. Hopefully that won't happen. But that is how Andrea Spencer rigged the Evergreen Point. She took state money
Please,
and she delivered
that is
something
not
else.
germane to the public hearing.
But it is germane to democracy and the legitimacy of this body.
Does any other member of the public wish to comment on this item?
My name is Robin Weldon. I approve of this of the fire department getting a fireboat. It it is something that maybe you're getting a used fireboat. The fire department should definitely be
Point of order, Council President, can we pause the clock for a minute? I have a question.
Sure.
I see somebody who has already presented public comment, and I'm curious if they are continuing to present public comment with their sign.
It's called expressive conduct.
Is that, I just wanted to do a check to make sure that they weren't getting unequal time as other people.
I don't think he even did his 3 minutes either. And the whole public comment and taking away of public comment is illegal, undemocratic, and unconstitutional. And we all know why. it
Ms.
was
Weldon,
taken
that
away.
is not germane to
It
the
was
public hearing.
Jack Powell and
This is
Steve
also
Stig
not-
wrote you a white
Also
Karen
not
letter
germane
that
to the conversation for the public hearing. Please address the public hearing, which is about selling our excess fireboat to the city of Port Angeles.
actually
That's not-
serve
Ms. Weldon,
Do
this
not
is
take
not,
the
this is
property
not
taxes
germane to the public hearing.
schools or anything, any services. You know, and this is the end of my statement, which is in response to what your letter to the BHA, which I don't even know when you're doing it or how you're doing it, but it would be it would be a violation.
Okay. Is there any other member of the public who would like to speak regarding the sale of the excess fireboat? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. We'll go to the council for a motion.
I'll make the motion. Move to approve the interlocal agreement for the sale and purchase of surplus emergency fire and rescue boat between the city of Bremerton and the Port of Port Angeles, and authorize the fire chief to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I call for the question, please.
Councilmember Frye,
Yes.
Camerata,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Tiff,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes, please.
Bobolowski.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is item 5A, general business, contract modification agreement number 1 with Parametrics, Inc. for the active transportation plan. Our presenter tonight is project manager Katie Ketterer.
Okay, written comments were accepted until Tuesday, February 3rd at noon at city.council@bremertonwa.gov.
Good evening, council and members of the public. I am excited this evening to present to you on our active transportation plan and our plans to restart that effort. I'm going to focus the presentation this evening on the opportunity and our engagement approach. Our ATP development will include a really robust public engagement component, including 2 public meetings and 3 workshops with a community advisory group. Next slide. So the workshop advisory group will give us an opportunity to have community advisors who will have an important role in development of the active transportation plan. They will form common goals for that active transportation plan, provide input on the ATP network development, collaborate with the project team at each stage of the plan development, provide input on prioritization of proposed projects, and share information with the wider community. Next slide. We will be looking for up to 7 Bremerton residents to serve on as community advisors. What we're looking for are, again, Bremerton residents, people who are good communicators, a broad representation of the diversity of Bremerton's population, the needs of Bremerton and all different transportation users, a desire for learning, collaboration, and compromise, and a strong connection to and sense of responsibility to our community. The time commitment for this effort will be 3 workshops. The workshops will probably be about 2 hours apiece. They will take place over the next 12 to 15 months, and there will be additional time needed before the meetings to review materials upfront. So probably, 8 to 10 hours total for our community advisors and a time commitment. Next slide. We are we are very excited to tell people how they can join us in this effort. Those that are interested in applying, we are working on the web page for the active transportation plan, which I didn't get up quite today, but will probably be up tomorrow. So I'm giving you the landing page for our transportation projects here. bremertonwa.gov/404/projects. So if you check that website tomorrow, you'll see a web page for the active transportation plan. On sometime next week, we will have an online application available on that web page that you can fill out. And then you can wait for confirmation from the selection teams that we've received your application. We'll have a couple of teams that'll review the applications, and they may reach out to those who are interested to learn more about them. And if you're selected, then you'll receive further information regarding the committee. And for those that are not selected, we would invite them to join our email list to stay engaged throughout the process, and also to attend and engage with our public meetings. So if there's anyone who has any questions about the active transportation plan, I realize I just wanted to highlight tonight in this brief presentation, this opportunity with the public engagement. But there will be a lot more information about the active transportation plan on the project webpage, which, as I said, will be live tomorrow. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ketterer. Are there any comments from?
Yeah.
Hedrick?
So
Point
I
of order.
would just,
Oh, sorry, I did that wrong.
Before council deliberation, we'll need a motion and a second.
Yes, I'm sorry. Do we have a council member who wants to make the motion? Yeah.
I move to authorize the contract modification with parametrics for the active transportation plan and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the modification with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Can you take comments from the public?
no.
I was just going to suggest if there's anybody attending this meeting now that's interested in joining or being one of the
I'm
board
sorry,
members, they could probably volunteer or suggest their names and no phone numbers.
Yeah, that'll be done online. Thank you, though. Okay, do we have questions from the council?
Katie, I want to thank you for the work that you've already been doing on this. I know that you were recently transferred over from the Roxy or the, excuse me, I'm thinking of my friend Michael Goodnow's theater on Quincy Square, but with the Quincy Square project. So we're looking forward to this. This has been, I want to make sure, in fact, could maybe you come up and I want to just find out how long has this active transportation plan really been in the plan, been planning? You know, how long have we been working on this?
Yeah, so of course, we have the 2007 non-motorized plan, and the active transportation plan is an update to that original plan. The original work plan for this update was to take place with the 2044 comprehensive plan update, along with the transportation element of that project. And they started work on that. I mean, the early work for that, gosh, back in like 2021, probably. But a large part of it happened in like 2022, 23, 24. And then in early 2025, the decision was made with a recommendation from the Planning Commission to split the active transportation plan out into its own work plan and its own project. And so over the course of 2025, it waited for a little while I was still working on Quincy Square. And then we worked with Parametrics on the new scope of work for the restart of the active transportation plan. And that's what we've brought forward for you today.
And
Okay.
so, and there was data collected during that time. Don't you have just oodles of data
We
already on
do.
that?
There were surveys, there's information about the existing conditions. There was a draft of an active transportation plan. So we're not going completely back to square one with this. We're going to be able to use a lot of that data. But this new effort really is recentering it around a community effort to build the plan.
Okay,
And that's the real difference.
thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Rick, go ahead, please.
So maybe if someone could answer my question, the budget for the project identifies it as $528,851, and you want an additional $185,000. So how much of that 528 has been spent?
I believe that the majority of the $528,000 has been spent. I don't know to the exact dollar just tonight, but the vast majority of it was spent. Most of that budget did go towards the transportation element and the other comp plan work. So there were a lot of things in that original pot of money. It wasn't just the active transportation plan. This contract modification for the active transportation plan, that is solely work on the active transportation plan.
Okay, a couple of more questions. The stakeholders that you have listed, I would like consideration of paratransit for one, delivery drivers who have to, work around our in our neighborhoods and so forth. And although maybe not and in waste management as well, making sure that they can get to whatever improvements are recommended, that those are our considerations. I also have some questions about the timeline. It says you're going to seat the committee like within the next 2 weeks. And I want to make sure I get that right. And I think that's a pretty ambitious timeline to put together that many folks, get them oriented and seated for that time frame. Do you believe, so that's another thing, is take a look at the timeline. And then lastly, do you believe $185,000 is going to be enough to finish the job?
Yes. So the front end of the schedule is a little bit ambitious in getting us ready for that first workshop and getting members seated onto the workshop committee. I did kind of try and cheat it out just a little bit. I did take that that feedback, and I think that's, but I think would be reasonable by the end of February to have our members seated, and then to be looking at our first workshop meeting sometime, towards the end of March or in early April. And that still works within our 18-month schedule. So a large part of the schedule is really the time between those workshops and the public meetings, as we're preparing for them and then having them and then having time to consider and respond to all the comments that we get on that. So that does take some time, but I think we've built a generous schedule that will allow us to accomplish that work within 18 months. And then I do believe that $185,000, that is the parametrics budget for this work. I believe that will be sufficient to do this work. It does take management as a project manager to make sure that they're staying within their budget, and also managing, expectations of our workshop committee and understanding, the work that's maybe outside of the scope of the active transportation plan, and making sure that we stay focused on accomplishing the active transportation plan so that we don't go over budget.
Okay. And then a couple other things. So I also feel that another stakeholder is the business community. You can make sure that they are at least consulted. And I'm very interested in pedestrian. Active transportation includes pedestrian, and so some priority on some improvements to our pedestrian walkways and sidewalks and crosswalks and other things in our city that where there might be some gaps.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I'm sorry to put you on the spot about, do you think it's enough? So I'll retract that.
No worries. I mean, we work really hard on those budgets and making sure that we think it's where it should be. So I appreciate the question. And absolutely, we are all pedestrians at some point, right?
Yes.
We walk all the time. So it's a big consideration for us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Do any other council members have comments? Jennifer, please.
Yeah, I think that my comment is, I mean, this is, and I'm grateful that somebody picked this up and did the work, the parametrics took this job on. I guess I am not going to be in favor of any future amendments personally. I think that I'm just concerned about the amount that we're spending on consultants in general. So this is something that I'm hesitant to support because I know that based on, I mean, we're just looking a little bit tighter at how much money we're spending on consulting. And I think I just want to just kind of encourage all of us to keep our eyes on how much we're actually spending throughout each year on consulting fees. And my understanding is this consulting fee to correct mistakes that were made? No? Okay, all right, great. That is all I'd like to say. Other than that, thank you.
Any other? Councilperson Mockler, do you have comments?
I do. Ms. Ketterer, I wanted to thank you for your presentation and to thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And to also thank you for incorporating feedback you received from the Public Works Committee and from Council. For the purposes of informing the public, can you tell us why the community input you received during the course of developing the $528,000 transportation element of the comprehensive plan in 2022, 23, 24, and early 25 was insufficient? What was the trigger, please, for requiring so very much additional public comment for the active transportation plan, which was broken out by recommendation of the Planning Commission in late 2025?
24.
Too many parts to that question?
Just say yes.
No, not at all. Just a long walk to the dais. I think that's a really good question because there was a lot of public comment that was taken on the active transportation plan. A lot of that comment was that people did not feel like they had been included in the process of creating the active transportation plan. And so this effort was really to bring the community in on every step of the process, so that it really is a community effort. And I wasn't part of the original effort, so I can't quite speak to everything that got us to where we're at. But I just know that's my approach in creating an active transportation plan that is well supported within the community.
I cannot applaud too much the approach of reaching out to the community to find out what the community wants. I think that's great. But there were apparently a number of comments from the community on the transportation element before it was broken apart that requested the city or indicated to the city that people had not been heard. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate. Yes, that
Okay.
people didn't feel like they had enough participation in actually the development of the plan. That they got their comments, and then what they saw in the draft plan didn't reflect those comments. So this is an effort to bring people in to the kind of the sausage making, and realize that these plans they come with compromises. We are resource constrained as a city, so hopefully we can all kind of learn together and make those decisions together, so that folks can support, even if they don't see everything that they wanted in the plan. They understand the process and they do feel heard.
Thank you very much, and thank you for maintaining your composure while people are moving around behind your back. I'm not going to mention heat maps because not relevant or germane, but I am going to mention that to supplement my input to the council last week, that here is something tailor-made for a city communications manager to oversee and implement. Yeah, so, and just my final thing, almost done, Ms. Ketterer, is your plan for the deliverables is late in 2027, third quarter 2027, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. For the final deliverable of the full active transportation plan. However, you will see this being built over the course of the next 18 months. You will see, the materials that we put forward to the workshop committee. Those will be put on the web page. We'll have those community engagement points. So you will see the ship as it gets built.
I think that's a model for government transparency and accountability, and seeing a constituent directly behind you. I'm just going to mention Snyder Avenue. which could really use some sidewalks for people to walk on. There, all done. Thank you, Ms. Ketterer. Thank you for answering my questions. Have a good day.
Thank you. Do other council members have comments, questions? Go ahead.
I have one quick question just for clarification purposes. So we are looking at the 185,000 and on the agenda bill, it says that this project is funded in the 2025-2026 transportation CIP. So I just want to make sure that that 185 has already been earmarked at a period like we had brought up that was before I sat in this chair, that those funds have already been taken care of and it's not something we have to consider later on this year for the 2026 that it was expended and we hadn't taken it into consideration.
Yes, that's correct. It, part of it was budgeted was in the 2025 budget and part of it was in the 2026 budget. So those are approved budgets by the council.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure when we're discussing it that it says that, and I just want to be very clear. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Are there other council members who would like to speak? Well, I just have a comment to make. I am so glad that this is going to get finished because the original draft that I saw made everything a priority. You know, every street was a bike route, every sidewalk was going to be, sidewalks on both sides of the street. There was going to be all these wonderful things, but if everything's a priority, we know nothing's a priority. So I'm really happy that you're the one leading the charge. I know you've done a great job on the Kids Up Way plan that you did for us. And I look forward to this. And I know a couple people I'm going to recommend to our Public Works Committee to consider for part of your committee. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay, seeing no further discussion, I call for the question, please.
Councilmember Camerata,
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
thank you. Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Tiff,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Rebelowski.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is item 5B, 2026 Lodging Tax Advisory Committee Funding Recommendations. Our presenter is Councilmember Chamberlain.
Hello.
I would like to note that one of our council members recused themselves for the appearance of fairness.
Thank you. That was Counselor Goodnow. He's on the board of one of the applicants who had applied for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee dollars. So there in the packet, you'll find the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee recommendations. There were 20 eligible requests. The funding total is $1,363,885. We already have pre-existing agreements, contracts with Kitsap Conference Center for $250,000 and with the Admiral Theater for $150,000. So that left $450,000 to allocate between all of the potential eligible requests. We had interviews with the applicants on November 12th, November 18th, and November 9th. We had deliberations on November 9th and 10th of 2025. And attached, you'll find the recommendations. And that is my presentation.
Okay, written comments were accepted until Tuesday, February 3rd at noon. Pardon? We'll go to council for a motion. Well, we have to have a first. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I don't think anybody is gonna move to approve, so we need to look at the second option, please.
I move to reject the funding recommendations and return proposed changes to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
I will second that.
Okay, we're open for discussion. Ms. Wright?
I'm concerned that the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee did not take council's recommendations, and you know, we do have influence. We let the committee know what our priorities are at any given time for this funding, and the council, through a resolution, made it pretty clear that Bremerton is ready for a destination marketing organization, and we need to prepare for that. And so that was captured in a resolution, but it obviously did not receive prioritization from the LTAC because it received a zero amount recommendation. And that concerns me because it means that there's a disconnect, I think, between the council's priorities and the LTAC's priorities. And so that's why I want to, I think, send this back with the recommendation, with the prioritization of the city council proposal within LTAC.
Any other council members want to make some comments?
This is Councilmember Tift. My concern was zeroing out several of the applicants without understanding of why. And so some of the explanation was not aware of all of the different explanations, but some of them that were given. Sorry, not close enough to the mic. Some of them were not, I questioned, so I'd like the committee to reconsider the entire list, not those that were zero. That's not my concern, but just reconsider the entire list and determine whether those reasons, for lack of a better term, were appropriate based on what those organizations deliver to our city. I've also seen today several applicants concerned about getting their funding because we're already in February, and a lot of those things that they need to do with that money is vital and needs to be provided sooner rather than later. So if we do send it back, why time will be of the essence to get through it and get it back to the council in a reasonable period of time. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Yeah.
Ms. Chamberlain, go ahead.
So, Counselor Chamberlain,
Sorry.
it's okay. At least you didn't say Mrs. I've never been a Mrs.
I said,
So I would like to see if we can, at this point in time, we're sending it back? Are we sending back? If we vote for this and it's approved and we're sending it back, are we having any particular recommendations? Is this the time to chat about that? Because I think some of us have different feelings than other folks about what the recommendation should be. And so I feel like it's a good time to get a consensus as to what the recommendation to LTAC committee should be. And I also kind of want to give you a heads up that I'm going to abstain from voting for this resolution as the LTAC chair for last year. I just don't feel comfortable. I want to support the team. I'm grateful to our volunteers on the LTAC committee and the work that they've done. But I feel like we had a really great discussion last week, and I kind of gave you all the insight that I had. But yeah, consensus on what kind of recommendations would be great if the other counselors would mind kind of checking in on that.
Councilperson Camarada, do you have any comments, questions?
I'm the other council member. It is something that the information that we're privy to is the same information that everyone has. So, when you're not a part of LTAC, you get the packet and you get to see things. seeing that the first questions I had were, you know, a request was made and then a recommended amount was put next to that. But what I didn't see was kind of the rhyme or reason or any sort of rubric or a way that it was scored so that we could kind of follow, you asked for X, you got this. And so there's a couple of documents afterwards that kind of give a very high level of what the organization is, a couple of notes. But what I didn't see was what the determination was of who got something. And if you did get something, why? Why was it more? There doesn't seem to be a percentage that you can follow easily. So that is one recommendation, just because this is very public and I am not sitting on LTAC, but I think that, you know, the public is owed the exact same thing that I have of, oh, we have this pot of money, this many people put in for it, how much are they getting, and what was the thought process behind it? Just making that more transparent for everybody so that you can follow it.
And just for full transparency, I'm no longer the chair, so it would be Council President Rebelowski.
That's
So I'm
right.
sure she's taking notes.
Okay, so I should have looked this way when I was
It's
saying
okay.
it. But yeah, that's the other thing. And then there is one thing I would like to highlight before we're done here is the fact that the study session, we actually have this in the packet too. So if you look at page, 225 is where it starts. The public comments that are in writing allowed people to state for everybody to see what their issues were with LTAC. And so in reading through some of those where decisions were made and they didn't quite agree with them, we got to see what it was you didn't agree with, and then go back and look at the materials that were presented and say, well, I can kind of see the same thing of, well, why? Like, why didn't you get this? So it's very beneficial. Was I too far? It was okay. So that is it. That's what I would like to see. Just be able to follow the money and, how the decision was made so that we can feel confident behind it as well.
Okay,
Councilmember Mockler's online.
Councilmember Mockler?
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to echo my comments last week and to be extremely grateful to Councillor Chamberlain for chairing the LTAC committee. That's a tough job. I'd also like to thank Councillor Fry and the others who served on the ad hoc that worked so long and so hard to craft a proposition for a direct marketing organization to represent a unified vision for City of Bremerton tourism. That's pretty darned impressive. And I'd also like to thank Councillor Goodnow for continually recusing himself from all discussions of LTAC over the past several years. So well done, you. That's if one of you who are more conversant than I could explain to the general public that how very strange to me Lodging Tax Advisory Committee is, in that it is required by state statute to contain representatives of people who receive money from Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. That would be, I think, helpful to the public. It's unusual.
I mean,
That was, yeah, please, after you, my dear. After you, Councillor Chamberlain.
I'll give a crack at it, but then I would like to kind of, my colleague over here will probably provide some more insight, but, it is required by state law for individuals who represent organizations who are eligible for LTAC funding be on the actual committee. It's a committee that's rife with conflict of interest, and it can be confusing. And also that's how it's crafted by state law. And also the role of the council person who presides as chair is not to be a voting member, but to be a facilitator. We can speak on what perspective of council will probably be. However, we are not a voting member. We're not supposed to make recommendations. We're just supposed to facilitate the conversation, bring the numbers back to council for approval. And in the past, it hasn't been pushed back on too much, but I think one really interesting thing that we've been discussing is how the data is actually being used from these groups that have been presenting. Is there anything else you think should be added, Councilor Fry?
Again, what really concerns me is the disconnect between knowing that our council, we have 2 new members, we, lost 2, so that we've been through a lengthy process to try to make changes to LTAC that would result in a greater impact for the intent of the funding. And a lot of us have been involved in that for several years. And I just think that there needs to be clear directive or a recommendation from, not only the city council, but the city attorney and our finance director is, they are in support of these changes to LTAC. We really do have a fiduciary responsibility for these funds. I mean, that I can't stress that enough. And I want to see impact, and I want to be able to trust what the people are telling me that they're doing and the impact that it's having. And when we see everything collected together, it doesn't wash out. It doesn't add up. In fact, it adds up to a lot more than Bremerton has. So there's just this, this is the hard part of any significant change. This is the hard part. Things get a little scary. They get threatening. And I'm not in the role to offer reassurance, except to say, I've been through it. And the thing with social change is, it doesn't always feel good, but you do what's right. And I try to practice that here as well. And this is best for Bremerton. That's what it is. As this council, we finally started saying, we got to spend these funds or allocate these funds in a way that's best for Bremerton. So with that being said, that's my strong recommendation. But I would like to see, that be a priority in the council's recommendations to LTAC.
Okay, now I'm going to speak. No, I believe. Ms. Mockler, were you complete with your comments at this time?
Well, you can call me Counselor Mockler.
Okay.
I am complete, yes.
Thank you. Well, I want to make sure everybody even knows what LTAC is and how we get the money. Every hotel room or short-term rental has to charge a 4% tax, and that comes to the city for distribution. So the law contradicts itself in several ways, but the general idea of it is these LTAC monies are supposed to be used to basically generate more LTAC money, which would be more people staying in our hotels, more people staying in our short-term rentals. And some of the money can also be used, a portion of it, for operating expenses for things like the History Museum or the Naval Museum. And the hope of the council is that this money is used for all of Bremerton. Like, I might be wrong, but I didn't see any dollars being allocated to Charleston. And they bring a lot of visitors into town. And it's this, to me, looking at it, and I've only been watching this for 3 years, the same people are getting the same amount of money or close to, and that's not helping the rest of Bremerton. So I want to make sure that these dollars represent or help every business in Bremerton instead of just some efforts. So I definitely would like this to go back to the committee. And that's my thoughts at this time.
Now Council President, what the motion is to return proposed changes. So I think we as a council need to decide on what our proposed changes are.
I agree. So would you like to start?
Melody, by statute, you were kind of looking over here and I'm wondering, is that correct?
Well, yes, if it's gonna go back, and with the way that the motion was stated, I think the council should give give some guidance to the committee as to why it's going back, and we could do that a few ways. I'm hearing different, reasons, and that's okay. I don't think everyone necessarily has to agree on all of the recommendations. It could be, several, right? But we do probably need to send it back. What I heard was that from Councilmember Camarada and Councilmember Tiff that they wanted greater clarity on why the awards were what they were, including awards that were for nothing, for zero. I think there's overlap there in that Councilmember Fry wanted a better explanation of the award in the amount of zero for the city's project. And so I see overlap in that regard. And so it might be a good exercise to figure out if the group as a whole is okay with sending it back as with maybe a copy of the resolution from council and a request that the funding decisions be explained, in particular ones for which received no funding.
Can I just ask for clarification on, and because I like what you're saying. So basically what we heard is we want feedback on why totals were what they were, or if they're reassessed, why the totals are what they are for the next funding recommendations. We also want to make sure that the LTAC committee has a copy of the resolution, which I already know they do because I provided it at a couple different meetings. But just as that, maybe that as just a reminder of the direction that council chose. And I think I want to make sure that our two new council members also have that resolution, that they've also had a chance to review it. That's on the side. And then the other one is, are we, I don't know that we're in consensus on what the recommendations are though, but if they, that was the last part that just those two pieces, and we're not sending back with particular recommendations. Sorry.
Do any other council members have a comment on that? Councilman Tiff?
I'm not, I believe we ought to send it back to the committee and they're the experts and let them come back with they may come back with the same proposal with an explanation, and that's fine. But I also believe that I'd like them to reconsider the zero and why the zero. So I don't believe we know enough as a body to start tweaking the amounts. I don't think that would be productive or appropriate. So I'm fine with just wrapping it up, sending it back and saying, please take a second look at this.
May I reiterate something that we talked about in our last study session though? What weren't we, I want to make, and I appreciate the voice of Councillor Tift, but I believe that what I heard from y'all in the last study session is that your preference is to recommend that the DMO proposal receive funding. Am I wrong in that was the predominant voice of that study session?
I agree that was one of the prominent voices.
And I think Councillor Mockler probably would love to talk.
Councilman Mockler, are you online?
I am online and doing lots of throat clearing, yes. Yes, that was my understanding of our study session last week, which was that fund the proposal for the direct marketing. That's on the advice of people who have experience and expertise in how to create a brand and how to collect actual data from actual heads in beds. This is a smart way to go for making Bremerton a destination and collecting information from people who come here to find out how we can become more Bremertonian. In our retreat last month, if you guys remember the vision of Bremerton, it was direct, gritty, and gritty got 2 votes. There's a real Bremerton here, and I think that this council wants a direct marketing organization to look at the actual Bremerton. We're not trying to make us the Hamptons because, not. And that would be my recommendation for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, is to consider funding the DMO. We did this last year. We added some tens of thousands of dollars for operations money for Quincy Square. This is something we are entitled to do and something we have done. That's it. I also wanted to once more say, well done, you guys, because this is a tough job.
Can I also just real quick, did this recommendation come from a report? Yeah, it came from, and Counselor Mockler, can you remind me, didn't this come from one of our auditor reports on how best to utilize LTAC money?
No, it was from the ad hoc that Counselor Fry sat on, and I believe Counselor Goodnow as well, and I can't remember the third person. But
it came from the audit committee. Originally,
Yeah.
there was a report on LTAC that was then spurred this, yes.
Yeah, correct. And so if we could also maybe, send it back to the LTAC committee with that, it's a good data point. It's how to use our LTAC and how to use our LTAC funding in a more bang for your buck kind of way. And it's database, it's best practice. And so that report, if that could be also included along with the resolution, that would be my preference.
I also think that we had another study done, the Lori Main study. Was that
That's
the
the
correct?
study that I think that I'm referring to. Is
Okay.
it Westbrook, Maine? Oh, no, I apologize. It wasn't the audit. It was out of
There was an audit, then that.
the audit report and then the Lori Main, and which is when you were LTAC chair. Yeah, so there's 2 different reports that have recommended that LTAC funding be
Looked at differently.
directed in this way.
Mhm.
Another, this is so 6 of one, half a dozen of another sometimes, when you make decisions. But, Councilmember Tift was saying, somebody zeroes you out, you want an explanation of that. And it wasn't too long ago that we were saying, what? Everybody gets a little bit of money? That's not impact. We were faulting the LTAC for giving everybody a little bit of money. And now we're telling them, tell us why you didn't give these organizations, money. So it's just, that's LTAC for you. You never know.
I do think it's a little bit different though, because we've been given some data like, well, this 1-day event or over the year, we have 45,000 hotel rooms that are rented out. Well, we don't have that many hotel beds to rent out in a year. So a lot of the data that we've been given is suspect. So I personally would like to see a more organized method of gathering data. But my big goal is for LTAC to help the entire community, not just a little portion of the community. And a lot of the people who got large awards, they're doing great things in Bremerton. I'm not trying to discount that. But I think by starting with a branding, it helps every business in the community. And so I would really hope that there's strong consideration for some money for the branding that we're trying as a council to get through, because the branding has to start before the DMO, because it takes a long time. So if we start with that, then when we start looking for a DMO, they're ready to go. So That's my recommendation.
So just point of order, I'm looking over at City Clerk. I'm wondering, do you need a revised motion, or how do we proceed from here? Do you have enough information? What?
Are you interrupting?
I think that I'm gonna just say what I think I'm seeing right now. So I see Councilmember Chamberlain is not voting. Councilmember Goodnow is recused himself. And then we have Councilmember Mochler and Councilmember Fry, who are advocating for a reconsideration of really the DMO only piece. And then Councilmembers Camerata and Tift asking for a reconsideration of more detailed and a reconsideration of all the zeros. And so,
And I want both.
and you want both. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that, and this is, are the people that are in favor of the DMO only, are you against the reconsideration of everything? Or are you just speaking to the one that you are most passionate about? I'm just trying to understand how, what probably.
They're obviously going to have to they're going to have to reconsider because there's a pot of money.
Right, no,
So-
I get that. I just meant, are you
Yeah.
against what they're asking for with everything being reconsidered?
I think that the recommendation that I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, counselors, was that they want reconsideration to allocate some funding to the DMO.
I don't think that's what
Mm.
Camerata and Tipped and.
I think there's more. I think there was more. I think there's conversation that we want to know why they made the
Right.
decisions.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Along
just
with
wanna-
a DMO recommendation.
I think everyone's in agreement that it needs to go back. What I'm trying to figure out is if there's agreement on if proposed changes. And I see that there's a group that wants the DMO aspect reconsidered as well as other issues. And there's a group that's wants the DMO reconsidered. I don't know if you also are, I don't know if there's alignment or not. And that's what I'm trying to figure out from the comments.
There's alignment,
alignment.
yes, there's alignment with that, absolutely, because that was something that was discussed prior to us getting here. It was something that was given to them, and the feeling is that that wasn't taken into consideration with the weight that it should have. So I think that's one thing. My only comment is the fact of I can't follow the bouncing ball with this. So it's like, it's not against what they're saying, but it's like,
It's yes and.
Yes.
Okay, it sounds like there's more yes and.
Mhm.
From what I'm hearing. And so I think that there's not necessarily going to be recommended proposed changes. So there's not going to be revisiting that list and adding. So I don't think that the motion that's in number 2 works for tonight. I think the motion should be something different, because unless you're going to be making changes to that list, we don't have proposed changes. We're asking for reconsideration
Mhm.
of the allocations and more detail on the reasoning behind them. Does that make sense? That's what I'm hearing. Reconsideration of the allocations and the reasoning behind them.
Do we have to take the prior motion off the table?
I think that somebody has to.
Councilman Mochler, did you have another comment? I can't see if your hand's raised or not.
Okay, still not councilman, but thank
Can I
you.
just call you? Disgrace.
No worries. And again, this is why I think counselor, a gender-free title is great. City Attorney Fennell, can you explain to the council and the public what council can do at this time? Can we, in fact, say, whether we choose to or not, but can we say, send this back to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee and say, hey, in more formal language, hey, fund the direct marketing organization? Is that something that is within our powers?
The council can accept or reject the allocations as they're presented, and it doesn't sound like anyone wants to accept them. So when you reject them, you can send them back with any number of additional commentary, which could include what you just stated.
Thank you, City Attorney Fennell. I would recommend and I'm happy to make a motion that we return this to LTAC with a recommendation that they fully fund the direct marketing organization proposal. So I'm, City Clerk Hoover, can I make that motion at this time?
Draw the motion, but there has to be consensus that everybody agrees with the withdrawn motion.
Okay.
It's Denise, I think, or Councilmember Fry that needs to withdraw first.
Do I need to specify? Okay.
No, you just
I'm
need to
going to
take away the-
withdraw the motion that earlier made.
Okay, so I can make a motion at this time? Is that accurate?
Yes, you can make your motion.
Move to return the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee recommendations to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee with a strong recommendation that they fully fund the direct marketing organization proposal that was supported by a council resolution.
Is there a second? There is no second.
All right then.
May I request, Council President, that the city attorney repeat, I think she's writing it down now, but maybe she can repeat, and then somebody might be able to so move.
I
They don't
agree.
Repeat it all, but I'm, again, just process.
Move to so here's a sample. Move to reject funding recommendations and return. Come on, Tyler. Bear with me just one moment.
Bless you.
Can I take a stab at something here?
She's almost, let her finish her think process. Her think process.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to suggest move to reject funding recommendations from the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee and ask that the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee reconsider the allocations as well as give a reason behind them. Does that work?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I can. I move to reject the funding recommendations from the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee and return them to LTAC for reconsideration of the allocations and further explanation of the decision-making criteria.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion? No.
This is my only comment is, it looks to me like there's at least 4 direct marketing organizations on this list. And so I believe they're all doing good things for our city. And so anyway, coming in late on that with regard to what is a DMO and who we've designated as our DMO, just so no, I'm great. The motion is fabulous. So
Good.
proceed. I vote proceed.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I call for the question, please.
Councilmember Mochler,
I support this fabulous motion.
So that is a yes.
It is, I'm sorry.
Tift,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Abstain.
Fry,
Yes.
Camerata,
Yes.
and Robolowski.
Yes.
Motion carries 5 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 recused.
Okay, next we have the mayor's report. Welcome, Mayor Wheeler.
All right. Good evening, Council President Robolowski and councilors. And I just want to say that it doesn't go unnoticed how respectful our students have been in the audience. And it's really been, it's impressive. So I just wanted to get that on the record. All right, first slide, Dave. All right, so effort kind of originated and then led by Dr. Janice Briggs, who then enlisted a whole bunch of other leaders in the city. We distributed these food barrels that you normally see for the food bank around our different departments. And it was really, really successful effort. We contributed a lot, and we just wrapped it up, and all these barrels have been delivered to the food bank, and just great work from all of our staffs, and appreciate the leadership throughout our city. Next slide. All right, so I just want to highlight one more effort. I try to, as you've noticed by now, I try to focus on different departments doing the important work in our city. And of course, with Dr. Briggs, as our new diversity and community engagement manager, has developed a community engagement hub. It is a website and a page within our city website where updates are given throughout the year, and they're designed to bring the community together. So it's building relationships, keeping the community engaged. A lot of that happening. I invite our public to visit the Community Engagement Hub once in a while just to do a check-in. And I shared the most recent post because I feel it's appropriate that it's a message on behalf of the city celebrating Black History Month. And you can read about that at the website, and of course, catch up on past posts also. So I just wanted to share this important message. Next slide, Dave. So after 76 years of service, Old Well 7 has been retired. So an amazing amount of service to our community. And so I'd like to highlight these type of efforts. Every bit of this was accomplished in-house by our staff, all except for the drilling. And you can see some of the statistics, 450 gallons per minute, where the water that it provides to Gorst and most of West Bremerton, including the shipyard. But for the students in the room, I wanted to point out that a 656-foot deep well is actually approximately about 6 times the height of this building. So when you go outside tonight, turn around, take a look at the building, and imagine 6 of these stacked on top of each other. And that's how deep that hole was to get to the groundwater that is supplying all of this, a tremendous amount of water to our community. So again, great work on our staff, the work you don't see every day, but extremely important. Next slide. Now this is, again, these partnerships are what make our city go. We have, obviously, I mentioned and I highlight talented, dedicated staff who are trained, but also partnerships. And in this case, with the Washington Youth Academy and the Washington State University Master Gardeners. So this effort will be organized in February this month. And the goal will be to clear pathways and refurbish them and get some garden plots ready for future use. The garden plot restoration will be directed by the Master Gardeners. So again, it's good partnerships, good efforts. Washington Youth Academy, we appreciate what they do up there for those students. Not every student has the same path. through high school and on, but this works. I've seen it work for those students there. All right, next slide. So the open air art gallery is ongoing, and I just wanted to make sure I got an invitation to you. 11 art panels will be installed on February 19th. And the invitation is to join the Bremerton Arts Commission, the City Parks and Rec Department, and the artists on February 23rd at 3 p.m. down on Washington Avenue. So there'll be, and it'll be kind of a celebratory, event, toast, really a chance to meet with the artist. Every one of the art pieces has a story behind it. And it's always interesting to hear what the motivation was, but it's all beautiful. All right. And last but not least, the annual Daddy-Daughter Dance is coming this weekend. This has been a mainstay in our community for many years. I see individuals who I worked with in the shipyard, who I have served with and now have retired, who have stories about taking their kids, their children to the Daddy-Daughter Dance, and now their grandchildren. And I'm one of those. So I was there last year. So it's just not limited to dads, it's limited to significant role models and people in the children's in their lives. So I encourage folks to give it a try. We have a couple grandparents here in this audience, and I have one on the dais, I know. I'm looking straight ahead at Rick Tift, Councilor Tift. So, but that concludes my report tonight, Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is council member reports. This is an opportunity for council members to provide an update on any issues or events taking place in their district, announce any events they've recently attended or plan to attend, or to speak on any other city-related topic. Since this is the first council meeting of the month, we will start with District 1 Council Member Jennifer Chamberlain.
Thank you. Do I get one of those slides where it shows my district? I don't really have a report, except I want to put it on folks' radar that pretty soon I'm going to be looking to start up the Stephenson Canyon Stewardship Group again. I don't have a slide for it. And so stay tuned for that because we need to have a group that takes care. There's so many other groups that take care of the other parks around Bremerton, and this is just something. And I've been going to Stephenson Canyon, which is a hidden gem. If you've never been, you should look it up on your All Trails map. You should look it up on any Gaia, whatever you use for your trail maps. And if you don't have a trail map app, there's a lot of free ones out there, and I encourage you to get some. But Stephenson Canyon is kind of in the center. It's all of it is in my district, but it's in the center of District 1. It's between the Warren Avenue Bridge. It's between some of the streets that are named after trees. And so it's in that area, and there's actually like 7 different trailheads to it. So you should check it out. But there's from time to time, it does need some love and attention. And I would love to get a group together again. There's already a fledgling group started. So if you're interested in becoming part of it, what we do is sometimes we have gone for just a hike together in the Stephenson Canyon. A couple times we've had some trash pickup and some ivy removal. And so depending on what your abilities are, and in conjunction with the Parks Department of what their needs are, we just go in and take good care of the canyon. That's all that I have for my report today. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President and District 2 Council Member Denise Fry.
Thank you. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Wanted to just start, I'm realizing that people, except those that live in my district, don't really know a lot about District 2. They drive by it, but they don't usually have any need to go through it. And so just wanted to start out with this, that in my district up there, you see Harrison Heights in purple there. Harrison Heights, started as the East Side Village plan, and it's been years and years and years in the making because we lost our hospital. You can go to the next slide, please. You can see there's a map here that'll give you a little overhead view of it. CHI, Franciscan or Common Spirit, whatever it's called now. They own actually quite a bit of this property. They own not only the former campus, but there's some parking lots and there was this Sheridan property too that they own. All of this is and has been owned by Common Spirit. People have said that this land on Sheridan has been for sale for a long time. It really has not. It's been vacant for a really long time, as has a lot of the parking lots around the hospital. But it was only listed for sale when the hospital land was listed for sale, and that was fairly recently. So this tells you really the footprint of that old Harrison Hospital. And now I want to show you my friend Jeremy Stitt, who some of you may know. He created this great video. It's only a minute long, but if we could get into that, please.
Hope there's no music.
This kind of shows you the area. We'll get it.
Did you watch this? The first one?
You know, while that's teeing up, basically there's 3 quadrants in my district. There's the ocean. Oh, here we go. This is when the hospital was still, of course, there, but you can see a lot of the building around it and everything has been demolished. It's since been demolished. So that's, what I lovingly refer to now as the crater. And you can see where it starts. Of course, there's a lot of housing that's planned for down there by the water too, but this really does give you an understanding. When that hospital left, over 1,000 jobs left. Those people went to get their nails done at my nail salon. And they went to get pizza and the people that worked at that hospital supported those local businesses. And those local businesses have been dying since then, except of course, for Heathen's Bakery and for, Cafe Lola, Restaurant Lola, and a few others. But it is an area that Bremerton took and said, okay, the hospital's leaving. What should we do with this? And we did tons of studies. The mayor was involved. So many different agencies were involved in this as well and doing this plan. And then this became part of the comprehensive plan, which is, in the state level and PRSC and all of it. So I just wanted to make sure you know the importance of our planning for this city. As one who says we don't plan enough, or have a vision for the city, we do. It's just in small increments. It's in project planning. It's in sub-area zones. It's all there, but it's a vision. It's a vision. And we've seen, quite frankly, a lot of renderings. I've seen a lot of renderings, and visions are wonderful. But one rendering, if you'll go to the next slide, Dave. One rendering that we got was for the Rejuvenation Community Day Center, and that actually is right over by, it's in my district. It's over at the corner of Sheridan Wheaton. It's kind of right across the little Wheaton Way that comes up. There's some guns and it's a military little park there. And so Rejuvenation Center is there. And I remember we had a full presentation on this 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And I think former president, council president Younger and I toured it. I think others toured it too. We got real excited about it. But what's happened is they got a lot of money through the ARPA American Rescue Plan Act. They got a lot of this lump sum money during COVID, and they invested in the building, right? They did stuff for the building, but then they ended up and with no operating money. Okay, that's what happens. It's much easier to raise capital money, to build something, to build a vision, show this picture and raise the money, right? But what's much harder is to raise the operating dollars that are necessary to provide the services, because it's kind of like a library. It's not a library without the books. So if you don't have an operating budget, it's not going to be much of a program. And that's right in that area. People ask me why I'm so sensitive about this. Go ahead, next slide, please. Okay. These were some of the other renditions. I drove by there today and it's deserted. But this is not, I'm not arguing against the center. I'm saying I was excited. I want to help in whatever way I can. But when I look at this, it's more blight in my district. It's more blight. And my district can't hold that. It really can't. Keep going, please. Or was that the last one, Dave? Yeah,
Yes.
that was the last one. So as I turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Camarada, I'm going to be doing this every time I can. It's a way to educate our community about the different districts and what's going on. All I will say is this little quadrant of my district, that's one of the reasons that I signed up for this job. I thought it had such potential. I thought there was such great opportunity there. I still do. I still do. I just am concerned about some of the plans that have come forward since then. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Christy.
Okay, District 3, Councilmember Christy Camarada. Do you have a report for tonight?
I do. I know,
Excellent.
crazy, right? All right, so Dave, if you'll stay with me, I got two little things and then we can move on to the next one, if there is one. So the first thing is I am working right now with the office staff in order to get a mailing list together, because these updates, I don't think I should be the gatekeeper of this information. I'd like to get a mailing list together of, hey, these are the parameters of what we're looking for, to send them out to our community partners that have special events that are happening. So that way we can get this out to everybody. And then it also, like I said, it has the parameters of it, but it also has the dates of, we need this information by this to get it up on the screen on this date. Just very, very clear. So we're working on that right now. I'm using the mailing list that I have through, when I was running for this position as the basis for it. If you would like to be included on this future mailing list, you can send an email to that email address that's up there, and we'll get you on this mailing list so that you'll get them. And right now we're anticipating doing that monthly, and then we're going to kind of pivot as necessary. The second thing is that this is a reminder and a plea, just as a community member, that this weekend is a huge event in my household. The Super Bowl is happening this weekend. It might as well be, I know, it might as well be a holiday in our household. So this is the thing that I would just love to have everybody, as much effort as you put into looking amazing and bringing the correct things and recipes to parties, to make sure that you have a safe way to get to and from home, because that really lends to the community here. If we all kind of look out for each other, ourselves and everybody around us, it's just a huge reminder that you have time right now to, it's Sunday that it's happening. So if you could just take a couple minutes and think about how you're getting to and from your festivities, I think that helps everybody out. So just a fun reminder. Dave, I think we're on to the slides. So to stick with my theme of what we have going, because again, I call it a holiday this weekend. Wanted to do a little shout out to a local business here. So Fingers Duke is and I asked them for a blurb because I was like, I will not do you justice. So could you please tell me more about your business when I asked them if I could do this? Fingers Duke is a multidisciplinary shop that specializes in screen printing apparel and graphic design that has deep roots in downtown Bremerton. They are a unique retail storefront and art gallery that showcases original merchandise created in collaboration with local Pacific Northwest artists and designers. So I think the important part of this is we are reaching last minute apparel needs for this Sunday. We are running out of delivery options. So just to remind everybody that we have a local option here that is local art as well. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. That is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 down on 4th. And that was my little shout out there.
Not open Saturdays.
The email that I got said Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. They also, you can go online and you can do an in-store pickup for my ladies who, you know, or gentlemen who work and then want to pick it up right after work. Line it up because we gotta look good this weekend. That's what I said, ladies and gentlemen. And I think.
Okay. Next, we have District 5 Council Member Michael Goodnow. Do you have a report for tonight?
I do, and I think I have some slides. We can go ahead and bring those up. So the Charleston District has put together a couple of slides for me. A couple of new businesses, Lobster Dogs and Hippie Hut. Hippie Hut is a smoke shop, and I think that is pretty self-explanatory. Lobster Dogs less so, and this picture doesn't help at all. Lobster Dogs is basically a bar and grill. They specialize in kind of leveled up hot dogs and a really an interesting selection of lobster rolls.
Yes.
Somebody who is from New England likes a good lobster roll. And but they also do some brunch. They kind of have specialized in waffles and eggs Benedict on the weekends, full bar. I think they'll be watching the game there as well. So that's that slide. Next
They're
slide.
open already?
All right. They are open. Yes, they are open. And I have some notes here for the, okay. And the Charleston Business District is hosting Cupid's Charm Crawl, February 11th through the 14th. We can go to the next slide. Participants are invited to build their own charm bracelet by visiting participating shops in the district, where they'll receive a free charm at each stop. Bracelets can be purchased. The base bracelet can be purchased at Echo Artworks, the bead store on Callow Avenue. Next slide, please. Also, you can come and participate in the Charleston Business District meeting. There's lots of just residents that care for and live near, or even some don't live very close, that just want to see Callow thrive. It'll be February 17th at 6 p.m. at Eastern Wind Glass. That's located on Burwell. Just kind of parking off of Montgomery, kind of behind, and then you can go around into that. And their meetings are open to all, and love to have community input. And I think, yeah, I am from New England, and right. But I was crushed when the Patriots beat the Seahawks last Super Bowl that they were together. So
2014.
So 2000, wow, is it really? It seems like yesterday. Anyways, so I am rooting for the Seahawks, but I will be on a flight. So hopefully the captain will keep us apprised, or the Wi-Fi will be strong enough. So anyways, thank you all for being here tonight, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Anna Mockler, do you have a report for tonight?
Thank you, Council President. In order to preserve my reputation as an impossibly academic geek, let me join with other councilors in enthusing about the sporting event that will be occurring on Sunday. I can't see my slides from Zoom. I hadn't realized that would happen. So I'm just going to assume that the map of District 6 is up, and that also the flyer for the February 9th, my monthly town hall is also up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. This one is extremely very much thanks to Finance Director Mike Riley, who will turn the budget into plain language. Oh, cool. Thank you. Sorry, I am now seeing this. It's at the Public Works Conference Room, and I thank you again, Public Works, for giving my constituents and me the opportunity to meet every month. And this is sort of the kickoff for what Audit Committee created years ago, which is like how to accept, please turn off the slide, Mr. Sorensen. Okay, thank you. How to engage the community. The process that goes on in most communities is the community conveys their desires to the council. The council delivers their desires to the executive branch. So this is an opportunity to be like most other municipalities in our region. Other than that, it's District 6. We don't often have new businesses opening, and this month is no different. The only prospect available to us is what used to be Premier Rentals, where David Hogg worked on Kitsap Way, there near National. It is now open for public comment on conversion to a gas station / convenience store. So if you have comments on that, your comments are accepted for the next several weeks. Other than that, I thank all of you for your concern and for your hard work on behalf of our city. Have a good night.
Thank you. District 7, Councilmember Rick Tiff, do you have a report for tonight?
Yes, I do. Okay, so District 7, you can see, is geographically quite large and encompasses Kitsap Way out towards Gorse, the airport, the Puget Sound Industrial Center, as well as some folks over off of Anderson Hill in Port Orchard. So next slide, please. The event going on, one of the events going on in this district is the restoration work on Kitsap Lake, stormwater treatment retrofit project, which I had nothing to do with, thanks to former council members and Mayor Wheeler for pushing this through. It's a stormwater grant through the state of Washington, as well as funding from the city of Bremerton. Next slide. I have been able to witness the construction. This was in November, where they started on site 1 for a new stormwater vault. Next slide, please. You can see they're getting ready to lift it in, and then the next slide shows the vault itself. It's that concrete thing that's strapped down on the back of that flatbed truck. So that was lifted into a hole, so to speak, a trench, and that was site 1. Next slide. Now this morning, you can see it's all a memory. It's been restored. Site 1 is here. Site 2 is a little bit down the street from this particular site. It too has been completed and restored. Site 4, there's actually 4 sites involved. Site 4 is over near the garage bar and grill, and I saw an aerial view of that today, but it was not in front of the deadline, so I'll try to show you that next time. There was a view from a drone. And then lastly is site 3, which is also in the neighborhood near Kitsap Lake, that will be completed once site 4 is done. So anyway, I would say thank you to the city, and thank you to the mayor. And on behalf of the residents of District 7, this will help restore the health of Kitsap Lake, which is a resource for all of our citizens. It is quite a busy location all summer long. And then there's also work being done at the Kitsap Lake Park, which will be welcomed by, I'm sure, many residents in our city. And so that completes my report.
Thank you. So I don't have a formal report, but I will report. I could care less about the Super Bowl. Sorry, shoot me. But don't cut my mic. I got lots to do on Sunday anyway. And I wanted to speak to folks who think that we have cut off public comment. I got to tell you, we've gotten well over 100 emails about the shelter. People have been really thoughtful. There's different points of view on it, but it gives us time to read them and react to them and consider all of them. So I know there's some portions of the community that are upset that we're not taking oral arguments, but we're going to be talking about it next week to see if there's another compromise that we can come up with that meets the US Constitution and Washington state law. But the emails, keep them coming. I mean, it's really critical and you guys are doing a great job. And those emails will be placed in the public packet, so you'll be able to read what other people's opinions are. And anyway, thank you. Have a good night. And please get a designated driver if you're partying on Sunday. Thank you, everybody. Okay, written comments. Wait. I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. Okay, reminder, the next regular study session will be on Wednesday, February 11th, beginning at 5 p.m. on the 6th floor council conference room with a remote option available by Zoom. And this concludes tonight's regular council business meeting. Thank you.